You've probably sipped on these teas for decades, but no one told you they might be silently hurting your brain after 70. I used to drink chamomile tea religiously every night. It was part of my routine, a little ritual to help me sleep. But then came a routine checkup and a conversation with my doctor that changed everything I thought I knew. According to a recent study published by neurologists at the University of California, certain herbal teas, ones we often consider harmless, can actually impair cognitive function in older adults, especially when consumed regularly over time. Now, before you toss out every tea bag in your cabinet, hear me out. Today, I'll walk you through 5 common teas you've likely been drinking for years that could be quietly impacting your brain health, and not in a good way. We'll talk about what the research says, how these teas affect the brain, and most importantly, what you can drink instead to boost memory, focus, and clarity well into your 70s, 80s, and beyond. So stay with me, especially to the end, where I'll share healthier tea alternatives and simple lifestyle changes that support your brain naturally. Tea number 5, licorice root tea. Now I know, it sounds so innocent, right? Maybe you've even sipped it thinking it's good for digestion or to calm a sore throat. I did too. But here's the thing, licorice root tea contains something called glycyrrhizin. Big word, right? But this compound can raise your blood pressure, and not in a small way. In fact, if you're over 70, your body processes things differently, your kidneys, your blood vessels, even your brain chemistry. That gentle evening cup of licorice tea, it might be slowly pushing your blood pressure higher and higher, and that has serious consequences. Let's break it down together. So glycyrrhizin actually makes your body hold on to sodium and lose potassium. That means more fluid retention, more tension in your vessels, and over time, boom, hypertension. But here's where it gets tricky. High blood pressure affects your brain too. Imagine your brain like a beautiful city of electrical signals. Blood pressure that's too high starts damaging the roads, tiny arteries that bring oxygen and nutrients to your brain cells. Over time, that damage can lead to confusion, memory lapses, even increased risk for stroke or dementia. It's scary, but it's also something we can do something about. If we could look inside the brain, and some researchers have, using MRIs, we'd see visible changes. Shrinking in some areas, slower processing, all linked to untreated hypertension, especially in seniors. And I want to share something with you. There's a woman named Elaine. She's part of our late bloomer community. She's 73. She wrote to me saying she used to drink licorice root tea every afternoon. Swore by it for years. But over time, she said she started forgetting things, little stuff at first. Misplacing her keys, repeating herself. Her kids thought it was just aging. But after a doctor visit and a little digging, they traced it back to long-term blood pressure elevation. And guess what? When she stopped drinking licorice tea and started tracking her pressure, things started to improve. Her clarity came back. Her energy shifted. I remember she ended her email with, "I didn't know something so simple could make such a big difference." Now, I want to say this, it's not your fault. We were told these teas were natural, safe, calming, and maybe they were, for a while. But our bodies change. Our brains deserve protection, especially now. So I'm curious, have you ever noticed a wave of brain fog after a cup of tea? Ever thought it was just the weather? Or just aging? Drop your experience in the comments. Seriously, I read every one. You never know who your story might help. And if you've ever had a wait a minute, could that be what's causing this moment? Keep watching. Because number 4 on this list might be hiding in your kitchen cabinet right now. Tea number 4, peppermint tea. Yes, peppermint. The one we reach for after dinner, the one that smells like comfort and feels like a breath of fresh air. You might be surprised to hear it's on this list, right? I was too. I mean, how could something so soothing be anything but helpful? But here's the thing, peppermint tea, while excellent for digestion, may negatively impact memory retention, especially as we age. Let me explain. The active compound in peppermint is menthol. That's the magical little ingredient that gives peppermint its refreshing taste and cooling sensation. But menthol doesn't just act in your mouth, it interacts with receptors in your brain too. Some studies suggest that while menthol can have a calming effect, it may also reduce cognitive alertness and short-term memory performance, particularly in older adults whose neurological systems are more sensitive. Now, the connection between your brain and your gut is real and powerful. It's called the gut-brain axis. And while peppermint helps relax your digestive muscles, that same calming effect could, in excess, lead to a dulling of mental clarity. Like putting a dimmer switch on your mental sharpness. It's subtle, but over time, it matters. Let me ask you this, how many of you reach for peppermint tea right after dinner? I did for years. It became this comforting nightly habit, especially during stressful times. 1 cup became 2. But here's the catch, when I started waking up groggy, unable to recall certain words during conversations, I brushed it off. Blamed it on stress, age, poor sleep. Turns out, what calms the gut might also slow the brain, at least a little. Now, don't panic, this doesn't mean peppermint tea is toxic or evil. It means we need to be more aware. Especially after 70, when the brain's ability to process and repair is already slowing down, even mild cognitive dulling can make a difference in how we feel and function day to day. So what can you do instead? If you're drinking peppermint tea for digestion, there are gentler options that don't come with the same neurological impact. Try ginger tea. It's warming, soothing, and supports digestion without touching your memory. Or fennel tea. It's calming on the gut and even helps reduce bloating, all while staying out of your cognitive lane. It's about smart swaps, not total sacrifice. You've lived too long and learned too much to let a nightly tea slowly chip away at your clarity. You deserve to feel sharp, energized, and alert every day. So tell me, are you a peppermint tea lover? Did this surprise you? Let's chat in the comments. I want to hear what you think. And hey, wait until you see number 3. This one is marketed as a brain booster, but it might actually be doing the opposite. Stick with me. Tea number 3, chamomile tea. Chamomile contains compounds that act on the same receptors in your brain as anti-anxiety medications, namely apigenin, which binds to GABA receptors and promotes sleepiness. Now, that's not necessarily bad in small doses. But over time, and especially in the bodies of people over 70, this cumulative calming effect can tip into dangerous territory. We're talking about prolonged drowsiness, slower reaction times, even confusion or balance issues. And when you combine that with medications or natural aging processes, the risk of falls or disorientation goes up significantly. You may have heard someone say, ever since I started that new tea, I've been feeling groggy in the morning. Or, I fell last week and couldn't remember how it happened. It could be many things, but chamomile, taken night after night, might be quietly contributing. And I'll be honest, I was in that cycle myself. About 6 months ago, I was struggling with sleep, like tossing and turning until 3 a.m. kind of sleep. So I leaned into chamomile. 1 cup turned into 2. 2 turned into adding a second brew in the middle of the night. And while I was sleeping more, I started waking up groggy, a bit disconnected. I found myself rereading the same page in books, losing my train of thought mid-conversation. So I made a change. I swapped out my nightly chamomile for lemon balm tea. It's still calming, still supports sleep, but it doesn't hit the brain quite as hard. Within a week, and I'm not exaggerating, my sleep improved and I felt more mentally awake during the day. Less cloudy. Like my mind was mine again. That's when it hit me, sometimes we reach for things because we used to need them. But our bodies evolve. Our needs shift. What worked for you at 40 might not serve you at 70. And that's not weakness. That's wisdom. You're not slowing down, your body's asking for support. And we're listening. Together. This community, this space we're building, it's for people just like you, people figuring it out with compassion, not shame. So tell me, have you ever felt more tired after a tea that was supposed to help? Ever wondered if your bedtime brew was doing more harm than good? Let's talk about it in the comments. Share your story or even just your thoughts. This space is yours too. Tea number 2, St. John's wort tea. This one really needs your attention, especially if you're taking any kind of medication. St. John's wort is often promoted as a natural mood booster used to ease symptoms of mild depression or anxiety. Sounds good on the surface, right? But what most people don't know is this: St. John's wort can dangerously interact with many prescription medications, particularly antidepressants, blood thinners, and even treatments for high blood pressure or heart conditions. And here's the scary part: it doesn't just weaken those medications, it can amplify them too. That can lead to something called serotonin syndrome, a potentially life-threatening condition that causes confusion, tremors, agitation, even seizures. This is not just theory. It's real, and it's serious. I recently read a quote from a psychiatrist at the Mayo Clinic who said, "Just because something is natural doesn't mean it's safe." St. John's wort is one of the most common culprits in herbal medication interactions, and older adults are particularly at risk because of polypharmacy. That word, polypharmacy, basically means taking multiple medications, which is super common for folks over 60. When you add St. John's wort tea to the mix without telling your doctor, well, you're rolling the dice. Now, let me share something that really stuck with me. A viewer wrote in last month and shared her story, and with her permission, I'll share it with you too. She said, "I was drinking St. John's wort tea every morning for stress. I thought it was helping, until I started getting dizzy and confused during my afternoon walks. I chalked it up to getting older, but after one ER visit and a deep dive into my med list, they traced it back to the tea. I never knew it could do that." And she's not alone. I've had at least a dozen emails from people in our community who've had similar scares. And it's heartbreaking because you were just trying to take care of yourself. You were trying to heal. But now you're informed. And that's powerful. You're not alone. You're not foolish. You're not fragile. You're just informed now, and that puts you miles ahead of where you were yesterday. So here's my encouragement to you. Before you try any herbal tea, even the natural ones, talk to your doctor. Bring it up during your next checkup. Print out the label. Ask the pharmacist. Protect your clarity, your balance, your peace of mind. And if you've ever had a weird reaction to an herbal tea, I'd love to hear your experience. Share it in the comments. You never know who you might help by speaking up. Tea number 1, green tea. Yes, even green tea, the so-called miracle brew, the anti-aging elixir we've all been told to drink by the gallon, can hurt your brain if it's overused. Shocking, right? I was floored when I first looked into this. I used to drink 3, sometimes 4 cups a day thinking I was doing something great for my body. But here's what no one tells you: too much green tea can actually backfire, especially as we age. Let's break it down. Green tea contains caffeine, not as much as coffee, sure, but still enough to cause overstimulation of the nervous system, especially in people over 60. That means racing thoughts, anxiety, disrupted sleep, even increased forgetfulness over time. Combine that with natural changes in how our bodies metabolize caffeine, and you've got a risky combo. Then there's the liver. Green tea is processed through the liver, and in excess, certain compounds in it, especially in concentrated or powdered forms, can strain liver function. That means fatigue, foggy thinking, and sometimes even inflammation. So no, I'm not saying green tea is the enemy. I'm saying it's powerful, and power needs moderation. Here's what I do now. 1 small cup in the morning with breakfast, not on an empty stomach, not at night, and some days, I skip it altogether and go for a gentler alternative like white tea, which has less caffeine but similar antioxidants, or tulsi, holy basil, tea, which calms the mind without overstimulation. Because here's the thing we were never really taught growing up. Moderation is the secret, not just with tea, but with life, with habits, with expectations. And the best part? It's not too late to start practicing that. Not at 60, not at 70, not at 80. So if you've been drinking green tea thinking more is better, don't feel guilty. You were doing your best with the information you had. And now you have more. That's what matters. Now take a breath with me. Feel your shoulders relax. This journey isn't about cutting everything out. It's about making choices with love, for your brain, for your body, for this new chapter of life. And we've still got something special coming up. Brain-boosting tea alternatives and daily tips to keep you sharp, calm, and thriving in your second act. Let's talk about the ones that can actually help your brain. The ones that soothe, sharpen, and support your mind as you step into this beautiful new season of life. First up, lemon balm. It's gentle, calming, and studies show it may help reduce anxiety and promote cognitive focus. Perfect for winding down without fogging up your thoughts. Then there's Gotu Kola, used for centuries in Ayurvedic medicine. It's known to support memory and circulation in the brain. It's like giving your mind a breath of fresh air. Next, we've got ginseng. A little bit of this one goes a long way. It's energizing without the crash, and research links it to improved memory and attention, especially in older adults. Fourth on the list, ginkgo biloba. You've probably heard the name before, and for good reason. It helps increase blood flow to the brain and is often used to manage early signs of cognitive decline. And finally, rosemary infusion. Not just for chicken and potatoes. Rosemary tea has been shown to boost alertness and even mood. The scent alone has been linked to better memory recall. Wild, right? Any of these can be a gentle companion on your journey, nourishing you instead of slowing you down. Now, if you're in a quiet place, I want to invite you to do something with me. Just for the next few minutes, close your eyes. Let's take a moment together because you deserve peace too. Take a deep breath in and out. Picture yourself sitting in your favorite cozy chair, a warm cup of something safe and healing in your hands. The world is calm around you. You feel light, clear, and grounded. You're not in a rush. You're not worried. You're present. And in this moment, right now, you are exactly where you need to be. You are wise. You are growing. And you are not alone. Now slowly open your eyes when you're ready. You've just given your mind a reset even in these few minutes. And here's the truth I want you to carry with you. You're not behind in life. Not at all. You're blooming at your own perfect time. Everything you've been through, the heartbreaks, the restarts, the lessons, they've shaped you into someone who still has so much to offer. Your story isn't over. It's just getting deeper, more vibrant, more you. So if today sparked something in you, whether it was surprise, curiosity, or even relief, hold on to it. Let it guide you forward, one smart sip at a time. Now, before we close, I'd love to know which of these teas shocked you the most. Was there one you didn't expect to see on the list? Drop it in the comments. I read every one, and this community is growing into something really beautiful. Your voice matters here. And if you found this helpful, tap that like button, hit subscribe, and please share this video with someone you love who might be on their own journey of rediscovery after 60.